Hello everyone, welcome to your physics class of class 6th. I hope you all will be fine. Students, in my previous video I explained to you effects of a force. Today in this video I am going to explain you the kinds of forces. Depending upon the application of forces, they are classified into two categories. First one is contact forces and the other is non-contact forces. Contact forces. The force which acts on bodies by making an actual contact is called the contact force. Means a type of force which acts on bodies that are actually in contact with each other. So the force between them is known as contact force. For example, you can see here in the picture, this man is either pushing or pulling. In both the cases, both the chair and the boy are in contact. Here also you can see when this man is pulling this chair, the hands of the man and the chair are in contact with each other, and this type of force is known as contact force. The muscular force applied as push and pull is contact force. Okay, now B, the force of friction or frictional force exerted by a surface on a body in contact with it. Means the force of friction that is exerted by a surface. You can see here the surface on a body. This is a body. So when this the frictional force that this surface exert on this body in contact with it, both these surfaces, the surface of this block and this surface on which it is kept, they are in contact with each other. So when this surface applies the frictional force on this body in a direction opposite to the direction in which the body is moving on this surface, so that frictional force is also a contact force, because all of you know that what is frictional force. Frictional force is a force which a surface apply on another body when apply on this body when they both are in contact, and frictional force always acts in the direction opposite to the direction of motion of the body. So this frictional force always acts when the two bodies are in contact with each other. So frictional force is also a contact force. Okay, now see the force of tension in a string when a load is suspended from it. You can see here a load is suspended from this string. Okay, so this string is in contact with this load. So the force that this of this string is also a contact force. Okay, the force of tension in this string when the load is suspended from it is also a type of contact, is also contact force. Okay, now D, the force of reaction normal to the surface when a body is placed on the surface. When a body is placed on a surface, the weight always acts in the downward direction, and there is an equal and opposite force that is known as force of reaction on that particular body which is kept on the surface. So that force of reaction is also a contact force. Okay, so the force of reaction normal to the surface when a body is placed on a surface, that is also an example of contact force. Okay, so these are the examples of contact force. Now, non-contact forces. Forces which act on bodies with no contact with them are called non-contact forces or forces from a distance. For example, you can see here gravitational force. Now what is gravitational force? The force that acts between two bodies at a distance. Okay, such as here examples are given to you of gravitational force that between the two bodies. First one is such as a force of attraction between two heavenly bodies and the force of attraction on a body by earth. So these are the examples of gravitational force. So the gravitational force is an example of non-contact force. The weight of a body is the force by which Earth attracts its body. So the weight of a body is also called its force due to gravity. All of you know that what is weight? Weight is a force by which Earth attracts that body. Okay, so weight is also known as force due to gravity. Weight of a body is also known as force due to gravity. It is a force of gravity on the body due to which it tends to fall directly downward, and because of the force of the gravity, a body falls vertically downward on the surface. Okay. Now, the leaves and fruits fall from a tree downwards towards the ground. Water in a flowing river flows downstream. A ball thrown up goes to a certain height and then returns back to the ground. So these are the examples of gravitational force. The gravitational force which the earth applies on all these bodies, and the earth with the force with which earth attracts all the body towards itself, that is gravitational force, and it is a type of non-contact force. Okay, so you can see in this picture also, when this ball is thrown by the girl, it will reach to a certain height, and then after reaching a certain height it will fall towards the ground because of the force due to gravity that earth exert on this ball. Okay, so this is the first example of non-contact force. Now second one is electrostatic force. Electrostatic force between two charged bodies at a distance either repel or attract each other. Means electrostatic force is a force between two charged bodies at a distance, and they either attract or repel each other. Okay. Unlike charges attract while the like charges repel. Means that when the charges are like, they will attract each other. If the bodies have opposite charges, they will repel. If a plastic comb rubbed on dry hair is brought near small bits of paper, we find that the bits of paper begin to move towards the comb. I think all of you must have done this, that when you rub a scale or a comb on your dry hairs, and if you try to attract the small bits of paper with that comb, it will get attracted towards the comb or the scale. So why it is so? Because of the electrostatic force of attraction between like charges. Okay, and electrostatic force is also an example of non-contact force. Now the third one is magnetic force. Magnetic force between the poles of two magnets at a distance. What is magnetic force? Magnetic force is a force that that acts between the poles of two magnets at a distance. The force exerted by a magnet is known as magnetic force. Okay, like poles repel each other, and while the unlike poles attract each other. When you if you suspend a magnet, and if you bring the same pole towards toward the pole of that particular of this magnet, suppose here you can see north pole is here, and if you bring the north pole of other magnet towards this suspended magnet, it will repel. Okay, and if you bring opposite pole towards the the pole of the suspended magnet, it will both the magnets will attract each other. Okay, so this is also an example of non-contact force, means actual contact is not needed. That is known as non-contact force. When no contact is there and force is being applied from a certain distance, so all that type of force is known as non-contact force. As we can see in that gravitational force, no contact is there, but Earth attracts the object towards itself. Okay, so that is an example of non-contact force. Then electrostatic force is also non-contact force, and magnetic force is also non-contact force. Do you know? Gravitational force is always attractive, while the electrostatic and magnetic forces can be attractive as well as repulsive. Means gravitational force means Earth always attracts the objects towards itself. It never repel. But electrostatic and magnetic forces can be attractive as well as repulsive. Like charges like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. In case of magnetic force also, both two like poles repel each other and unlike poles attract each other. Second one is the non-contact forces in magnitude depend on the distance of separation. Means the magnitude of non-contact forces depend upon the distance of separation between these two bodies. When distance of separation is doubled, the magnitude of force becomes 1/4. Means more if you increase the distance of separation between the two bodies, what will happen? The magnitude of force becomes 1/4. Means if the distance is increased, the magnitude of force will decrease. Okay, so these are the contact and non-contact forces. Now in homework you have to read up to here, and further explanation we will continue in our next video. Thank you.